That's what makes it funny. Yeah, that's what makes it funny though. He don't. They say, "Oh, die."
How are you, Tommy? Doing fine?
I'm doing fine, sir.
That's what happened. That's good.
Hey, how you doing, boy? Yeah, they was showing everything down around Benel and all the network. Southwest town, not too far. Stayed on Grand Lawn or whatever.
Can y'all hear me all right? Usually I don't need one of these things to be heard, but just in case, we'll turn it on anyway. Again, I want to welcome you all here this evening for the 15th Annual Tornado Sports Boosters Hall of Fame induction ceremony. A couple other orders of business that we'd like to get out of the way for you. I want to introduce the members of the committee, most of whom have been with it right since its inception. What I'll do is I'll run down the list. I'll have you stand where you are, and then we'll give you a round of applause after everyone's been introduced. Bob Rare, our principal, Tom Campbell, Harold Slick Perry from the camera, Rich Wilson Sr., Barb Manji, Mark Stevenson, Don Williams, Matt Hutchison, and Paul Held, who I don't believe is with us here this evening, and of course David Hicksaball and myself are your 11 members. Let's give the committee a hand. There's one person I want to recognize here this evening. This is a little bit off of the script, but this person has been involved with tornado sports since longer than a lot of us in the room tonight have been alive. We were just talking with him a minute ago. He started taking pictures in 1947 for the tornadoes. And he's still filming today. He's still filming tonight. Let's have a big hand for Slick Perry. And now Tom Campbell. Are you out there somewhere? Tom, would you step to the mic? Tom's got some welcoming remarks that he'd like to make to the assembled group. Tom's going to be stepping down as our principal this year. He's retiring. And I want to wish you good luck in your retirement.
I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight on behalf of Taylorville High School and the administration of Taylorville Community Unit School number 3. Every year it's a very difficult job for the committee to choose and to determine who will be in the Hall of Fame, but at the same time it's a wonderful privilege and it's a unique opportunity for myself, not being a Taylorville native, just to get the insight and go back in the history and see some of the things that are going on. It's just been a thrill for me. You know, I've been on the committee pretty much since its inception, and I've just enjoyed it every single year. So we do want to welcome everybody here this evening, and without further ado, we're going to go on with the program. But we hope you enjoy yourselves. We hope you come back next year, and we hope you talk to your friends and your neighbors and your relatives, and continue to support this banquet and help it grow. We've got a good crowd this year. We'd like to have another one that comes into next year. So thank you for being here this evening.
Next on the program, I'd like to introduce a gentleman who, without his perseverance and his determination, I don't know if this project would have ever gotten off the ground 15 years ago, but through his fine works, it did get started. He's been our chairman since that first meeting that we ever had about the Hall of Fame. He's still our chairman and does all of the major work for the Hall of Fame banquet and everything that's associated with it. So I'd like you to give a big round of welcome, please, to Mr. David Hicksonball.
Thanks, Terry. The Hall of Fame, as Terry said, this is our 15th annual induction ceremony, and it seems like the first one was just a couple weeks ago. It's amazing how fast time flies. The Hall of Fame Committee has a charge from the sports boosters to select the Hall of Fame inductees each year. There's an 11-member committee, as Terry introduced to you, and we get nominations, and nominations are can be made from anybody. If there's somebody that you feel we're missing, please make sure that you contact me or any of the members. Send a nomination in to us, and it will certainly be considered. Once a person is nominated, they stay on our list until either they are selected or obviously aren't selected. It's the choice that is made. In order to be selected into the Hall of Fame, however, once a person is nominated, it takes 9 of the 11 votes at the voting meeting. It's amazing the conversations that come up and the comparisons that have to be made when you're trying to select a track person or a volleyball person or a basketball or a football person or a bowling person. And we're hopeful that we maintain a high standard for those people who are selected to enter into the Hall of Fame. One of the things that is happening now, and we're very appreciative of, is that Mr. Evans, Dick Evans, who is a member of the Hall of Fame, gave us a nice donation, and we are completing a new trophy case or plaque case, Hall of Fame case, at the high school just outside the new cafeteria. And the plan is to make that hallway, the Hall of Fame hallway at least, until we can find a better spot for them. But all the plaques that we have here and all the members that you see on the back of the program, the plaques for each one of them will be hanging in that particular hallway. So I hope that we're just finishing up the new case, and I hope that when you visit the high school in the next fall, if you go even for a football game, or if you're just out there visiting, or if you come especially to one of the basketball games, if you take time to go down by the cafeteria, visit the Hall of Fame, check the plaques out of the people there. We're hopeful to make more displays than just have the plaques, to have some historic aspects of sports in Taylorville, because our history is so rich in athletics. And it's a joy for me, it honestly is, to spend the time it takes to do research on a lot of the people who are nominated to find out exactly what statistics and events and things that they did. So I hope you'll take the time to do that. The last thing I want to say about the Hall of Fame is that, as Terry pointed out, Tom Campbell has been on the committee since the inception, because the high school principal is, by constitution, one of the members. And so Tom will more than likely be sliding off as he kind of wanders onto his boat over on Lake Shelbyville. And I just want to publicly say, Tom, we really have appreciated everything you've done to keep this program going. Without your help, there's no way that we would still have a Hall of Fame today. And I'd like to give another round of applause for Tom and the work he's doing.
Well, I'll tell you, there's no end to the work that David Hicksonball puts in for this Hall of Fame. And I just want to show you something right here. What I hold in my hand is my script for tonight. And David puts this all together, and it takes him hours and hours and hours, and then it's my pleasure to get to stand here tonight and to read it to you to make the introductions. Now, you should see the look on Bobby Slayball's face. He's thinking, my God, how long is it going to take with what he's got here? But I've just got to let you know that since we were all together last year, I've had a little problem with my eyesight. So I took the page or page and a half that David had printed up for me, and I enlarged it to a size 48 font. And being legally blind now, that's the only way that I can see to get through it. So please bear with me if I have a little trouble focusing at times, but I certainly didn't want to give up the opportunity to be here tonight, especially when we make this first introduction. It's been a real pleasure for me having been a Taylorville transplant. But of course, my father was from Taylorville, so my moving over here was no big deal to me. Had grandmother, aunts and uncles and what have you in Taylorville, and got to know some of the kids that I used to hang around with. And it's been my pleasure since playing at Pana to get to help introduce players in Taylorville that I knew and that I played against. A couple have already been inducted into the Hall of Fame. They're back here with us again this evening. But it's the team from the 1966 basketball team, which we had many headbutting experiences. Kenny Deck, Terry Pisoni and the guys playing with the guys from Pana. So it's really a privilege for me to help introduce them here this evening. Well, as the 1965-66 basketball season approached, Taylorville boys basketball head coach Jack Murphy had to believe that he was entering another season that had special written all over it. Two of his top three scorers from the 1965 team that was 19-8 were returning, along with a strong and experienced supporting cast of players. The season opened with a strong showing against Springfield High School, led by Terry Pisoni and Kenny Deck, two players who would become one of the most prolific scoring tandems in the conference. The Tornadoes topped the Senators 65-49. Now, David wrote this, so please bear with me on this next part. The following game, however, brought Taylorville back down to earth with a 4-point loss to Payton. They'll get their revenge, though. 7 games later, Lanphier, Shelbyville, Greenville, Hillsborough, Lincolnwood, Cumberland, and Springfield Griffin all became casualties to the Tornadoes' high-powered offense, averaging 65 points a game and holding their opponents to a 52-point average. Taylorville entered the finals of the Matching Holiday Tournament with an 8-1 record. Unfortunately, the Tornadoes fell to the home team 66-63. Following the holidays, Taylorville dropped Litchfield 69-63 and headed to Effingham to meet the conference co-leaders. The Hearts got the best of the Tornadoes that night, 55-48, and took a 1-game lead in the mid-state standings. Following a win against Vandalia, the Tornadoes then dropped a heartbreaker in the Champaign tournament by a score of 48-47. Bouncing back from that loss, Rantoul took the Tornadoes' frustration as Taylorville rolled to a 96-62 win. This game started the season's longest win streak. A payback win against Pana, 65-47, led to conference victories over Hillsborough, Shelbyville, and Greenville. Effingham was next on the schedule, and a balanced scoring attack with all 5 starters scoring in double figures placed Taylorville back into a tie for the conference lead. Wins over Litchfield and Vandalia gave Taylorville a share of the Mid-State Conference title, writing an 8-game winning streak, scoring a conference championship, and looking ahead to the regional tournament. The Tornadoes stumbled to East St. Louis and lost to the Flyers by a score of 71-57, the game that was much closer than the score indicates. But the first game of the regional tournament against Rochester showed the power that the Taylorville Tornado team possessed. 7 players scored in double figures as Taylorville routed the Rockets 122-61. Quarter scores of 34, 37, 36, and 25 helped set a school record for points scored in a single game. However, the next night, 2 free throws each by Deck and Al Vitale sealed a 1-point victory over Blue Mound and sent the Tornadoes into the regional final against Moweaqua, an upset winner over Pana. Taylorville trailed until Terry Pisoni scored 11 straight points to end the third quarter and the last shot from the corner with only 3 seconds on the clock, giving them a lead that they would not relinquish. A strong fourth quarter gave Taylorville a 73-54 victory and the regional championship. The sectional tournament was held at Illinois State University, and the games were played in Horton Fieldhouse. The first game pitted the Tornadoes against the hometown team, Normal, U-High. The game was close throughout, and the victory looked in doubt when Kenny Deck fouled out with 1 minute and 15 seconds left in the third period. But the Tornadoes came out of the huddle and scored the first 8 points of the fourth quarter and never looked back, earning a 68-58 victory and the opportunity to play the Runnin' Reds of Stephen Decatur for the second straight year in the championship game. Decatur jumped out to a 26-16 lead in the first quarter, but the Tornadoes clawed their way back into the game and actually led and had a 5-point lead with 2:39 left to play in the game. But Decatur tied the game at 64-all with just over a minute remaining. Taylorville had the ball but turned it over with a minute to go. The Reds decided to hold on for one last shot, and Terry Johnson hit the game winner over the outstretched hands of Phil Moss with just seconds remaining in that game. Taylorville finished the season with a 22-6 record. The team was led in scoring and rebounding by Hall of Famer Terry Pisoni, followed very closely behind by all-everything guard and also a Hall of Famer Kenny Deck, Al Vitale, Phil Moss, along with Jim Cutler and Colby Martin. They composed the starting five at sometimes during the season. And on the bench were juniors Greg Fuston, Carl Krumzik, Dave Trost, and Mike Bishop. Dave Greason served as the assistant coach to then head coach Jack Murphy. And now we'd like to introduce those players that were able to be with us here this evening. We'll invite them up one at a time and give them each a little time to speak to the group. We'll keep them up here and then we'll close it out with Coach Jack Murphy. But first I'd like to introduce David Trost. And David promised me that he would hold this remarks in 20 minutes.
That's very nice, and I thank you, and I want to say that I'm not used to public speaking, but I'll try to do my best. Growing up in Taylorville, with the history that Dave mentioned in sports, especially the basketball teams we had, from before the 1944 team and on through the team that we looked up to the most, which is, of course, the championship team, and put Taylorville in an unbeatable position. 45-0 in one season, just they can't do that anymore. So we were very, very lucky to have what we had. Also the early 50s when Bill Ridley played, the mid 50s and the late 50s. First games I started going to, I remember Johnny Helm being a star player, and I think he's a Hall of Famer if I'm not mistaken. On through Phil Clark, and I see Bob Stevenson back there, and those teams which were great to play with and to watch. So we got into our time, and we had such a wonderful group of players, and we had such a wonderful friendship and appreciation for each other. So I'm honored, I'm very honored to be here tonight, and I have so many stories I want to tell, some of them true, some of them not. So I think I'll go with one that's not quite true. Parts of it are. My freshman year, I played pretty well. I think I was second leading scorer on the team, maybe third. Terry might have beat me, or I might have beat Terry, I can't remember. I was an outside shooter. I had funny glasses, I have pictures to show you. But they worked, I could see the basket. Later on, I got contact lenses and they didn't always work, and my shooting went off. And Phil Moss had a cousin that I started dating, and I stopped practicing as much as I should have. I thought I could get away with that, and so I played for Dave Blumer as a freshman. I played for John Wilson as a sophomore, Murphy got me as a junior, and there was no place else for me to go, so he had to keep me. So Murphy is studying all of us and trying to figure our strengths and our weaknesses, and he'd pull you aside. One day he called me, Trost. I didn't know if he knew my name was Dave, so I didn't correct him. Trost, come on over here. I want to talk about your role on the team. He said, you know, you're the fastest runner on the team. You're the quickest guy on the team. You can get off the floor better than anybody else on the team, and those are your strengths, and they're good ones. They're athletic things that we can use. He said, you don't shoot so well anymore. Well, I didn't want to brag or anything, so I just agreed with him. And he said, you don't dribble so well, do you? And I said, well, half of it I'm good at. I can dribble down. I just don't know where the ball's going to come up. So I keep my head down and keep my eyes. And he said, well, we've got a role for you, but it's just going to be between you and me. Don't tell anybody else. And he said, one day, we're going to be behind in a game. And we're really going to want to get the ball back to the team that has the ball probably will try to stall. This is what Decatur did to us. And what I need is not for somebody to go out there and be shy about it. I need somebody that can go out and foul in a hurry. And you've got all the athletic ability to do that. And it was kind of a secret, so I did. Jack, this is the first time that I've told it. I know you got that. So before the game, we played with Decatur, Rochester game. I had worked on this for 2 years, so I was pretty good at it. I got out there, and I think we were ahead 80-something to 30-something when I got in. And I got to play, and I think I scored the 100th point on our way to 122. But I know 10 other guys that think they got the 100th point, so I'm not sure if that's true or not. But I'm pretty sure I own this record now. I think I got into the game, and I got my 5 fouls in within 2 minutes, either 8 seconds or 32 seconds. I cannot remember. And so I was ready for the Decatur game, just in case they pulled ahead. That's what they did. And unfortunately, I got mononucleosis. My neck was all swollen. They were afraid, you know, you'd rupture your spleen if you went out and played basketball. So my 2 years of preparation were for naught. I just had to watch. And it was a disgusting thing to watch us lose to Decatur after we had that 5-point lead. We had to come up with a name for this position, and Murphy and I went through a lot of it. He wanted to call me the Hammer, and I thought that was too much. But he finally said, I've got it. And he pulled me aside, how about this? You'll be the designated hitter. And while that didn't work out too well for basketball, baseball adopted it immediately. And it's been famous ever since. Murphy came up with that, so it's all good. Again, I just want to say how pleased I am to be here. And pleased that I have the tradition and the richness of being a Taylorville High School graduate. And, one more thing, Murphy. I got to be a real good basketball player just as soon as I left you. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we'd like to welcome to the microphone Carl Krumzig. Carl? It's going to be hard to follow the designated hitter, I know, Carl.
Well, like David, I'm not a public speaker, but this is a real privilege. And I thank the committee very much. It's something I'll always remember and cherish. And my days at high school and athletics were much like David's, long and enjoyable. One of the things that I enjoyed the most about Coach Murphy was he had this thing about if you made a mistake, you ran the bleachers. And I got to spend a lot of time in the bleachers. That was fun. In fact, I enjoyed it so much that after high school and college, I never forgot that, I built a 2-story house. And it's kept me in shape. It's done a good job. But all in all, I have to say, in closing, that this is a wonderful privilege, and it's something I'll never forget the rest of my life. Thank you.
Next, we'd like to welcome Phil Moss. Phil?
What an honor. We appreciate this very much. My wife will attest, I'm a crier. That's what happens. Already. 33 years I coached high school football. Cousin Jack Murphy. Sorry. All right, let me try again. First game, Dave Robies, you remember him? Played in the NBA a few years. Sony held him to 16. We did beat him. Game 2, that Panda game, you didn't mention. Terry didn't play. Yeah, we know how that goes. In the middle of the year, we go to Lincolnwood. I remember the bus getting there, and we can't get in. It's full. A guy named Neubauer, Greg New something. New neighbor. Later played baseball with him a long time, but we ended up getting that one too. The Mattoon tournament, that trophy they were talking about, second place, coach. Where is that? It's still in Mattoon. It's in the parking lot in Mattoon. Didn't quite make it home. Second, I don't know, 4 to 5 I was fouled out. How many? Just 5. Fouled out, yeah. Lost by 3, 5 I was fouled out. Yeah, that's a memory. The Champagne tournament, Mr. Kabuti. Remember that one too by 1 point. The Rochester game, well, let me back up. East St. Louis. I guess they didn't think we were very good. Remember what East St. Louis? They only pull out half the bleachers. Come down, it's only one side. So, yeah. The Rochester game, everybody remembers the Rochester game. We had 70-some points at halftime. We'd go in at halftime and coach didn't have much to say, There's a little voice in the back, God rest his soul, Mike Bishop. Well, coach, the offense is working. Somewhere in the middle of the season of that year, coach took us to a college basketball game. Guess where? ISU. So anyway, let me get out of here. Let me just give you one more thing, the defining moment of our senior year. I can't get down on my knees anymore. Kobe!
Phil, I didn't want to mention the fact that Terry Casoni did not play in that game. And of course, we had Homer and Whiteout working all game that so.
And you and I were 100 pounds less.
Yeah. Next up, a gentleman who is already a member of our Hall of Fame as an individual, of course, and now gets to go in with the 1966 team that he helped lead to that sectional championship game, Terry Casoni.
These guys have pretty well covered everything I was going to talk about. But first of all, I'd like to thank the members of the committee for bestowing this prestigious honor on our team. It's really, really an honor. But what I'll do is I'll just tell you a little bit about Coach Murphy. Now, the first time,
Terry, remember, he gets the mic after you.
well, the first time that I met Coach Murphy was the summer before my junior year. I was at my parents' house, and there was a knock at the door. I went to the door, and there was this little old guy standing there, well, younger than me, with a basketball in his hand. And he told me who he was, and I let him in. We went in and sat down in the living room, and he commenced to tell me what he wanted me to do. He gave me the basketball, and he said, son, when you wear this basketball out, practicing all summer, I've got an endless supply to replace them. I said, sure, Coach, I'll definitely wear that out. Then he told me, Terry, I got this new policy. You either have to run cross country or go out for football in order to play basketball. Well, from that point on, I don't remember another word he said because my brain was going cross country, football, or do I really want to play basketball that bad? So, and as I said, I don't remember another word we talked about at that meeting. But I chose cross country, and it was quite an experience. And I never really have had a chance to publicly thank Coach for giving me the opportunity to participate in a sport that I would have never in my wildest dreams ever considered running. So thanks, Coach, I appreciate it. Now, Coach Murphy worked us hard. In addition to the cross-country or football policy, he had a couple other endurance challenges that he instituted. The first was the 1 hour in the morning before school practices, full court. And I guess this was to get us ready for the school day. I don't know. And the other is what I call running of the stairs. And what it was basically exactly what it said. You go into bleachers, you put on these 10-pound vests and these 2 or 3 pound ankle weights, and you'd run up and down these stairs. Now, not only was this a part of regular practices, but it was also a form of punishment. And if you, some of the activities which could instill or cause you to be running the stairs was your hair was too long, you were caught talking to girls, you were late for practice, you were messing around during practice, you were shooting too much, or you were not running plays correctly. And all he'd do is say, up, and everybody knew, up. I know Mark and I talked about a lot. But one of my teammates, prior to Mark, must have really enjoyed this activity because he was up there every night. And we almost named a section of the bleachers after him. And I won't mention any names, but you could, as we did our practices, you could see him. After a while, he'd be sitting there in the back of the bleachers. He wouldn't even be running, or just steam, the steam coming off his head. He was so mad. And I think Coach forgot about it and turned the lights out a couple. Now, while some believe Murph really enjoyed seeing us suffer all these endurance practices or activities, there was one thing he did that showed that he had a soft spot in his heart. Now, during a timeout or at a quarter break, he would sometimes make changes in either the defense or the offense, and then we'd come back out on the floor, and for some reason, Kobe wouldn't understand what he said. So there'd be 4 of us running this play the way he called it, and there'd be Kobe. And pretty soon, you would hear this soft cry from the bench. Kobe, could you come over here, please? I want to talk to you. Come here. Well, Kobe would then jog over to the bench, and Coach would put his arm around his shoulders and whisper in his ear what he wanted him to do. And Kobe would sit there and nod his head like he understood. And then he'd rush back out on the floor. And the majority of the time, he would follow his instructions, but there was occasions when he wouldn't. Now, thinking back on this, I truly believe Kobe was doing this on purpose. I think he relished the personal attention he got. That quality of one-on-one time. And I'm sure Coach enjoyed it too, and that Kobe will always have a special place in Coach Murphy's heart. He will never, ever forget it. Now, talking about that Rochester game, I think it was you, Bill. Coach always had some constructive criticisms for all of us when we came in at halftime. Okay. But at that Rochester game, we were winning, I think, 72-28. And so we went in the locker room, we were waiting for Coach to come in. I think you said this. You said, there's no way in the world Coach can criticize us for anything this time. So we're sitting there, and here comes Murph, fighting back a grin. He looks at us all and he says, you guys ought to be ashamed of yourself. You let this team score 28 points. And then we all just broke out laughing. But in all seriousness, this was a great team of talented individuals who worked hard and played hard together. And it was fun, and what was particularly enjoyable was watching Kenny do his thing on a basketball court. He was a magician with and without the ball. And he played against some great point guards, including our very own Terry. And even though we had the personnel, we needed someone to lead us, and that's where Coach Murphy comes in. I firmly believe that if it wasn't for him working as hard and instituting a winning attitude in all of us, that we wouldn't be out here tonight. And I would just like to thank him for everything. Thank you very much.
The final player that we're going to introduce, of course, you've already heard his name mentioned several times, but he and I go back further than anyone else in this room that I know here this evening. We were running the streets of Langleyville together so many years ago with Kenny and I and our two brothers for the most part. We pretty much ran Langleyville, Nello's, Scrubby's, and all the places that the people in Taylorville today have never heard of. But he was a great player, just like Terry said. He probably embarrassed me more on the basketball floor than any other player I ever played against. Stole the ball right out of my hands at the top of the key one time, and you know the old saying about my jockstrap was laying over there and Kenny was going that way. But he was a great player, played against him in football, ran against him on the cinder track as well, and it's been a privilege to know him for all these years. I was certainly happy when he got inducted to the Hall of Fame, and I'm just as happy this evening that his team has been inducted, and that player is Kenny Dapp.
Well, I thank you all very much. It's an honor to be here. It's great to see so many friends from the past. And to think that it's been 44 years just blows my mind. And I know the younger people out here today, they think, well, these guys should be in wheelchairs. And sometimes they might be, but back then, we had a great time, we had a great team. The community was terrific. The support that we had back then was everything you would hope it would be. And I wrote down some notes here, but the guys on the team, I wish there were more of them here. I don't get to see many of them. We have class reunions, and most of these guys show, but there are some that don't, so I kind of miss those guys. Al Vitale and I go back to Langleyville. Scruffy little kids from Langleyville. And we had a great time. We grew up in Taylorville with, again, the support, the history, the camaraderie of Taylorville was terrific. I couldn't have asked for more back then. Coach Murphy, of course, was the leader. He was the great one. and he did a great job with us. Of course, he had his own way of doing things, and he always, the stairs were his key, you know. He liked to run the stairs, and all of a sudden, the whistle would blow. Dak, what are you doing? What about John? I said, what about John? He said, what about John? I said, I'm not guarding John. He said, I know, that's the problem. You're not guarding John. Up, he'd say. All he says is up, so up the stairs we go. And back then we could run the stairs forever, so it wasn't a big deal. But I don't have many stories to tell about these guys, but I must say Jim Cutler is a friend of ours. He was a big number 6 guy for us. He came in the games. He was 6'5", very fundamentally sound young guy, but he destroyed everybody. I mean, if you guarded Cutler in practice, in a game, walking down to the locker room, I mean, this guy stepped on your foot, he elbowed you in the side, he poked you in the eye. I mean, Cutler was one of these guys that nobody wanted to be around. And we had a fella in Effingham by the name of Pat Fitzsimmons, who was a terrific ball player, 6'5", big center. Effingham was very, very difficult to beat. And Pat had a favorite move. He would get the ball in the lane, he would fake right, fake left, and he'd come back and shoot to the right. Well, Cutler was still on the first move. He was still over here with it. And he could not get over how good this defensive guy was. And Jim didn't know any better. I mean, but anyway, I could tell some more stories about the guy, but I want to say one thing. Taylorville has a real rich history. I see Bob Stevenson, I played with him. Mark Stevenson, his brother, is well known. But you look back through the history of Taylorville and Phil Clarks and Johnny Helms and the players that were all around athletes, just to be in that same category with them is an honor. Thanks.
Of course, these guys can tell you all the stories about Coach Jack Murphy. Of course, me being from Pana, our coach was named Murphy as well. I don't remember Jack that well as a coach, but there's one thing I remember about him, and he might still do this to this day. But Jack, you had a famous pair of red socks back then that you always wore. You still have those socks. Jack Murphy.
Scared to come up. Well, I get kid a lot by these guys, but actually it was an honor to coach with Dave, Carl, Phil, Terry, Kenny. It was a pleasure and an honor. They don't mention most of that team was on the National Honor Society. We had 8 of 10 in that, and they were excellent students. They were on the honor roll constantly, in spite of me. Had been there at 7 in the morning. And Mark Stevenson back there played also for me. And Mark went out in the sunlight one day. He says, "That's the first time I've seen the sun this week." He said, "We practice it's dark in the morning. We practice in the evening. It's dark, I've never seen the sun." I think that's probably their sentiment also. They were a great group, a great team. When we lost to Decatur, that's probably the toughest loss I ever had in 6 decades of coaching. Because they worked so hard, and we were sure that we were going to get a trophy at the state tournament. We even got big numbers on our uniforms, so it looked good on television. That's a true story. We expected to be there. They were a great group. I was honored to coach them,
and it's an honor to know them. It's a pleasure to come back here with all the tradition of Taylorville. Nobody anywhere can top the Taylorville winning tradition, and I feel privileged and honored to be a part of it. Thanks to these guys. Thank you very much.
If anyone would like to grab a quick picture while we've got the team members and Coach Murphy up there, please do so. What a great bunch of guys, having been from the one of their arch rivals back then. It was sure a pleasure, I know, playing against them and knowing these guys for all these years. It's been a lot of fun. Once again, please welcome the basketball team of 1966. Okay, moving along now. If I get my eyes back in focus here on this next gentleman that we're going to introduce and induct. Taylorville High School graduate and avid sport fan Bob Slayball wanted to find a way to help Tornado Athletics. He became a member of the Taylorville Sports Boosters and worked with that organization to help support the many Tornado Athletic teams and players. He recognized that if the Sports Boosters were going to make a positive impact, they needed to find a better way to raise funds. So in 1993, he took the reins and took what had been discussed, a golf tournament, to raise money to support the athletics, and led a committee that turned it into the now famous and successful Taylorville Tornado Open. For the first 7 years of the Open, Slayball co-chaired the tournament, committed and helped lead the event to become one of the most popular and successful fundraisers in the community. As a result of his vision and dedication to the Tornado Open, the athletic programs at Taylorville High School have been the beneficiary of a total of $339,298.95. In 2002, Bob took another fundraising lead and was instrumental in the organization of the annual Taylorville High School Football Lift-a-thon. In the 8 years he has assisted with this event, Bob has helped the Lift-a-thon raise a total of approximately $125,000, all used for the Tornadoes football program. Bob Slayball continues his active membership with the Sports Boosters and still serves on that finance committee. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bob Slayball.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It is an extreme honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame as a friend of sports. For me personally, it has a special meaning since I do join my father, who was inducted as a member of the 43-44 state championship team. So thank you very much. Also being recognized as a friend of sports, when you take a look at the other people that preceded me, it's a very humbling experience. We talk about the Boyd Dappert, Mike Homa, Jim Forcina Sr., and Bill Hopper, just to name a few. It is very humbling. In the spring of 1993, I got a telephone call from Tony Bertowski and Russ Apgar wanting to know if I'd be interested in helping organize a golf tournament to benefit the high school sports. I said, sure. We immediately called Dan Bodie and picked up a couple other guys, and the Tornado Open Golf Tournament was born that day. The funny thing about the original committee is none of us had any children associated with any of the sports programs. In fact, I think there may be one or two of us that were even graduates of Taylorville High School. I think the others graduated from somewhere, they just weren't graduates of Taylorville High School. And I'll update the figures. Through the first 17 golf tournaments the Tornado Open has raised $359,421.21 that has been presented to the sports boosters. Now granted, there's a lot of work that goes into the organization and preparation for this tournament. However, I think the committee, both past and present, would agree that the success of the tournament lies with the players, the sponsors, and the community itself. As some of the other people tonight have said, the tradition in Taylorville is just unbelievable. This is a sports town. They back their teams and are proud to do so. I'll tell a story now, quick story. This is a Frankie Blanchfield story, so you know it's true. As you're well aware, the community does back their teams. When the girls lost to East St. Louis down in the Salem Super Sectional a few years ago, the whole community was devastated. Just didn't know what to do. We lost, we were on our way to Bloomington. Frankie had talked to the officials of the IHSA, and he says, "You think we're in bad shape?" He said, "Those people up there don't know what to do." They said they just saw gate receipts fall like a rock, because they know if we would have made it, half the town would have been there. So, in closing, I do appreciate this. This is a great honor. I looked up to some of these gentlemen that were on the 65-66 team. I was a sophomore, played for Coach Murphy. I ran the stairs too. Everyone ran the stairs. But Mark Stevenson will tell you, we had to run cross country too, and I'll tell him now. We had to run cross country, run through the park. We'd start off at the arch of the park, run all the way around. Well, some of them ran all the way around. We'd run down to the pool and cut across the lake and be swinging on the swings when they came by. I think Coach got whiff of that and he followed us in the car one day. I thought we were going to die. In closing, thank you very much. This is a great honor. As we were leaving the football field over in Chatham a few years ago, after a big win, someone said, "Boy, it's a great day to be a Tornado." Melissa Albertson said, "No, every day is a great day to be a Tornado." Thank you very much.
Knowing Mark Stevenson and Bob Slayball the way I do, I find it hard to believe, Bobby, that you guys have ever taken a shortcut in the park. Next up, Stephanie King-Spresser was an outstanding two-sport athlete at Taylorville High School, a 1990 graduate. Stephanie made an immediate impact on both the volleyball team and the track team her first year as a Tornado. Playing in the Apollo Conference and only a sophomore, Stephanie helped lead the Tornadoes both offensively and defensively and was selected to the all-conference first team that year. She also earned a special mention at the Edinburgh tournament. She followed that season by repeating as an all-Apollo Conference first team member, both in 1988 and 1989. Along the way, she also earned first team all-tournament selection both years at the annual Edinburgh Volleyball Tournament. While she was receiving personal honors for her play, the 1989 team also followed her lead and won the first regional championship for Taylorville in 11 years. Stephanie was also noticed by her coaches and teammates as she was named the team's MVP in both her junior and senior years. To culminate her senior year, WTIM Radio selected her as their Player of the Year. Prior to attending college, Stephanie participated in the Prairie State Games, where her team won the state crown in their division. In the spring, Stephanie excelled on the track team. As a sophomore, she was chosen the team's MVP and earned recognition on the All-Apollo Conference first team. Her spring performance allowed her to compete in the area best track meet, where she finished third in the long jump and fifth as a member of the Tornadoes 800-meter relay team. She repeated those places in the sectional meet. During her junior year, she repeated as the All-Apollo Conference performer, winning the conference 100-meter dash and placing second in the long jump. She was selected co-MVP and competed in the Honor Roll Classic, running the 400-meter dash and the 800-meter relay. As a senior, Stephanie maintained her high performance standards and closed her career with the recognition on the Area Best Honor Roll and being named to her third All-Conference selection. She also repeated as the team MVP. Following graduation, Stephanie was given a scholarship to play volleyball at Lincoln Land Community College. As a collegian, she became an outside hitter, and in 1991, she was selected to the Lewis and Clark Tournament All-Tournament First Team. Following that year, she participated in the Illinois Prairie State Games, where her team again won first place in their division. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stephanie King-Spresser.
Thank you, and I have nothing prepared, because 2 months ago when I got my letter in the mail, I failed to read it all the way to the bottom. So tonight, before we were getting ready to come, I pulled it out again, making sure I was coming at the right time, and I read it all the way down, and I looked at my husband, and I said, I have to talk. I like to talk, but not in front of a lot of people that are standing. So I just want to thank everybody for choosing me for this. I'm honored to be with all those great athletes, and I especially want to thank one of my coaches who is here tonight, and I'm so happy you came, Joyce Wilcox. All I can remember is her in the hallway saying, high knees, high knees, high knees. So I don't think I could do that today, though. But, and I especially want to thank Dave for the great picture that he showed of me. Don't know how I got my hair like that back today. But thank you to the committee for choosing me for this. It's a great honor. And I'd also like to thank my volleyball coach, Jackie Barnes, who isn't here today with us, but I wish she was. That's it. Thank you.
For his new team in Taylorville. It was in 92-93, during his junior year, that Kyle began to make a solid contribution to a successful team that shared the Apollo Conference Championship. With a record of 17, or he led the 17-9 Tornadoes in scoring with 402 points and was selected to the Apollo All-Conference First Team. He also was selected to the Decatur and Charleston All-Tournament teams that year. The following year, Taylorville's first in the newly formed Central State 8 Conference, Werby scored 416 points and helped lead the team to a 15-12 record. He was selected to the first Central State 8 All-Conference team, as well as to the Decatur Herald and Review All-Area team, and received honorable mention on the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association All-State team. He finished his career with 903 points, placing him 13th on the Tornadoes' all-time career scoring list. During his only season on the Tornadoes cross-country team in the fall of '93, Kyle was selected as the team's most valuable runner. Following graduation, Kyle received a scholarship to attend Aurora University and played basketball under the coaching tutelage of Taylorville Hall of Famer James Lancaster, who is also here with us this evening. During his career with the Spartans, Werby scored 1,182 points, placing him 18th on that school's all-time scoring list. He was named to the Northern Illinois-Iowa Conference All-Conference team as a sophomore and a junior. He earned Aurora's MVP honors as a sophomore and was selected to the NCAA Division III All-Region team that year. For his career at Aurora, Kyle averaged 14.1 points, almost 5 rebounds, and just over 2 assists per game, while shooting about 36% for the year from three-point range. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kyle Werby.
You guys gotten off lucky so far because I've got a little. So bear with me. I'll try to make it short. I'd like to you guys hear me? I'd like to start first by thanking the members of the Hall of Fame Committee for voting me into this year's class, congratulate my fellow inductees on all of their accomplishments. It truly is an honor to be recognized with such great players and coaches. I think like all inductees, I was extremely excited when I got my letter notifying me of my induction, and I couldn't wait to tell my friends and family the great news. then soon after that, the nervousness sank in, because I'm not a very good public speaker. And I have my mom to thank for that. But then as I started to think about what exactly I was going to say, I realized that this provided me with the perfect opportunity to take the time to thank the many people.
There you go. There you go. That's
Provided me the perfect opportunity to take the time to thank the many people who helped guide and support me throughout my life. First, Mom and Dad. It's hard to even figure out where to begin with you, so I will say, start with a simple thank you. I'm truly blessed to have such great parents. You two always bent over backwards to make sure that I had everything I needed, or at least thought I needed. Whether it was a new ball, new shoes, my own hoops, rides to and from games, camps, practices, those silly strength shoes that I thought I needed because they were going to help me jump. Or just some words of encouragement and support. You guys never let me down. You both worked hard all day, and you never missed a game, even in college, when it meant working all day, driving that long 3-hour drive or more, just to get in the car after the game and drive home. Start work up all again the next day. You never missed it. You taught me so many valuable lessons throughout the years, and you taught me the meaning of some very important concepts. A few I'd like to share. You taught me about hard work and commitment. You always said if you're going to do something, practice at it, always give 100%, and never quit. I remember in junior high when my dad asked me if I was really going to take basketball serious. Of course, at that time I said, yeah. So he went out and bought me a workout tape. It was Steve Alford's shooting drills. And he told me when he brought it home that it would be a lot of hard work. It was going to require me to make a commitment to do it every day and to never give up on it because it would truly pay off in the long run. Well, little did I know that this workout would require an hour to an hour and a half a day of various shooting drills in 100-degree heat, all while my mom was chasing me with a broom trying to block my shots. And finally, once the workout was over, she required me to make 10 free throws in a row without a miss. So let me tell you, that sure did test the never quit concept. Never failed. I would make 8 or 9 in a row and then miss one. And then I'd repeat this process 2 or 3 times and get a little bit frustrated with that. So I'd take the ball and give it a big kick down the backyard. Then I would hear soon after that, now did that help? Now straighten up, go get it and finish your free throws. So you also taught me about sportsmanship. I was always told it didn't matter if it was before a game, during a game, or after a game. It was always to compete with respect. So I learned this one the hard way. After a game at Springfield High, we lost the game. I didn't play too particularly well. As many of you know, I'm pretty competitive and don't like losing. So I decided that I would skip the team handshakes and walk off the court into the locker room. Well, I didn't know he could move that fast, but there my dad stood waiting for me. Needless to say, I went back out, did the handshakes, never had to be told about competing with respect and sportsmanship again. Finally, you taught me that it didn't matter what challenge I was faced with, that all things are possible. And my mom still takes just every opportunity to tell me that today. I still remember these lessons and use these learnings in my life daily, and they have made me the man I am today. So again, Mom, Dad, thank you. Thank you for everything. The material stuff, making those long drives, the never-ending support, and more importantly, thank you for being you. My sister Raina, thank you for your love and support. Although we didn't have a whole lot in common while in high school together, there were some common themes. We both took a while to learn not to bounce the ball in the house or pretend to slam dunk or spike a volleyball against the door frame. It took several broken glasses, plates, and figurines before we learned that, but we finally caught on. You even got to chase me with a broom from time to time and sit off to the side and laugh at me as I walked down swearing at my mom and my ball. There are some themes that still hold true today. I've always looked up to you, and you've always been there to cheer me on and lend me your unwavering support. Thank you. My family members that are here, my grandma, grandpa, Mark, Peggy, Ron, and Ann, thank you for all your love and support throughout the years. You all don't truly know how grateful I am to have such a strong and loving family that has always been by my side. Mark and Peggy, in particular, not only did you support me and cheer for me with all your heart, you both played a big role in my basketball career in life. Mark, you were not only a very supportive uncle, but you were also my junior high coach, and you really pushed and motivated me each and every day to focus and become a better player. You taught me some lessons too. You taught me the importance of discipline, how important it was to listen to your coach and do exactly what they were saying in practice. And of course, like the other lessons I learned the hard way. You had the rule that coach blows the whistle, you stop bouncing the balls, you run to the end line and get ready for the next drill or what you were going to teach us that day. So if we were in practice, you blew the whistle, everybody held the ball, started sprinting to the end line. Well, except me. I decided I was going to try to touch the net. You saw this and saw practice, gave me a stern talking to, then had an entire team sit down on the end line and announced to them that I was going to entertain them now by running around the gym and trying to touch every net. So I think at that time I was all of maybe 5 foot tall, and as many of you saw when I played, I can't jump. So I ran around the gym trying my hardest to touch them all because I was going to teach you a lesson. I can do it. Well, I think I touched one, and again, another valuable lesson was learned. There was also countless days and nights of me calling your house to ask, did Mark come out and play? Didn't matter how tired you were from working all day or what else was going on, you were always willing to drive up and get me so we could go to the gym for game after game of some intense one-on-one. You never took it easy on me, not for one game, but I kept calling because I knew, not only because I hated losing, but I knew deep down you weren't always going to beat me. Thank you both for all you've done. To my wife, Jamie, this could take a while. We started dating 19, 20 years ago after we met at Gus Macker. It's hard to believe that two people as competitive as you and I haven't killed each other yet. But we haven't, and you're not only my wife, but you're my best friend. I can tell you that I wouldn't change a thing. There's not another person in the world that I would want by my side, supporting me, cheering for me, and challenging me to be better each and every day. Through the wins, the losses, the ups and the downs in high school and in college, you've always been there, and I thank you for that. I can't tell you how happy it makes me to see you sitting there with our greatest accomplishment to date, our son Cole. I can't say it enough, thank you, and I love you. Jim, Linda, Michelle, Kurt, Chase, Bill, and Emma, from day one, that 19, 20 years ago, you all welcomed me into your family with open arms and showed me nothing but love and support. And I thank each and every one of you. It has meant the world to me. Jim and Linda, you didn't have to come to all my games just because I was dating your daughter. And for a while there, I thought that might be the only reason you did. But then when you started making those long drives to Aurora to watch Jamie play and then to stick around and watch my games afterwards, I realized and started to think that maybe you did too enjoy watching me play and support me through those years. So thank you. To all the coaches throughout the years, Mark Coffey, Paul Held, Joe Champley, Don Williams, Mark Stevenson, James Lancaster, I think you all have at least one thing in common. You all agree that as a player, there wasn't a shot that I didn't like to take, or couldn't justify why I thought it was a good one. Each of you pushed me daily, and I think more importantly, gave me every opportunity to succeed. Thank you for your guidance through the years. The teammates, these are the people that made basketball fun throughout the years, and a few really come to mind. Tom Mahler, I don't start laughing, people who know Tom Mahler. Before I came to Taylorville as a freshman though, I came to the Tornado basketball camp, and Tom beat me in the one-on-one tournament, and I realized at that point, I really needed to work a lot harder if he could beat me. And I'm sure if any of you see him, in the coming days, that if you ask him about it, he'll tell you that he has an undefeated record against me. 1 win, 0 losses. Matt Hicksonville. I always used him as an example. Matt was older than me and a great shooter and all-around player. So that made me look up to him, maybe even to the point where I shouldn't have. I think he convinced me on numerous occasions that it would be a good idea to cut our hair in the most ridiculous looking bowl cuts. At the beginning of the season or before any of the big games, we would always decide to shave our head, and we've had this ridiculous looking hair. But I truly did look up to him because he was a great player. Shane Sims was another. He was one of my best friends and one of the hardest workers that I knew in high school, and he loved the game just as much as I did, and we continued continually push each other every day. Adam Stork, as an upperclassman, I would like to think that I helped show Adam the ropes, but I'm pretty sure he had it figured out because he was an outstanding player and teammate. And like I said, these are the guys that made it fun. Their hard work and passion they all had for the game was amazing. Some other important people that helped throughout the years: Bill Tucker, Bob Stevenson, Barb Manji. You all showed me tremendous support throughout the years, whether it was wrapping my ankles, giving me game advice while sitting in class, or just plain advice on life. You all were great. Thank you for everything you did to me. And now I'd just like to share a few more of my fondest memories, and I'll try to get through them quickly throughout my playing days. As I was growing up, all through my practices, my parents and my uncles always preached to me that free throws win games. I got a first-hand experience of this in the 8th grade while in sectional finals against Arthur. The game was tied with less than 10 seconds left, and I got fouled. Well, my rocks, my support group, they were solid. Aunt Peggy and my mom. Aunt Peggy proceeded to lock herself in the school safe. My mom got so nervous she peed her pants. That's where the nervousness stuff. But luckily, I made one of the 2 free throws and we won the game. Another one is I'll always remember being able to go to a game and look up in the stands, right behind the coaches, and see my dad, my Uncle Mark, my now father-in-law Jim, sitting right there in the front row. And that was special. That was special for me because I could always look up there and know that they were supporting me 100%. I'm not so sure it was too pleasant for my mom, or my Aunt Peggy, or my now mother-in-law Linda, or even my coaches. Because if you know those 3, they're not known for keeping their opinions to themselves. And it could be pretty vocal at times, but it sure did mean a lot to me. And then along the same lines, there was always the post-game recaps. I know my wife stood up here and talked about one of her fondest memories were her post-game recaps with her dad after the game. So I got a little extra special because I would not only have it with the coach after the game in the locker room, I would get a preview of how it was going to be with my mom and dad when I left the locker room and talked to them. And then I would go to Jamie's house and sit in the living room with Jim. We'd review the game all over again. Then I would go home later that evening, and then I would get the full recap with my parents. And the next morning, Uncle Mark would drive up, and I would get my final recap. So it was an okay process as long as we either won the game and I played well, but if we lost the game or I didn't play particularly well, that made for a long night and following morning. Another one, the Sprinkle High game here in Taylorville when Tyrone Lee was on the team. And this, to me, really shows the love and support that this great community displays for their sports teams. The big-name All-Star D1 standout came into our gym with what seemed like all of Taylorville in there for packed house night, pulling for us. I think that evening, Adam Stork set the single-game scoring record, and we won the game. And it was a truly great feeling to see how the community rallied around us and pulled us through that victory. Being named local news player of the week and having the news crew come to school and take me in class and practice in the following night's game. Been sitting down to watch that broadcast with my family, excited to see how it all turned out with the interviews and everything. And listening to Coach Stevenson refer to me as the straw that stirs the drink. Now, I know I've been called a lot of things, but I think this was the first and only time I've ever been called a straw. So my senior year in college, we had a very good team with high expectations. And 8 games into that year, James Lancaster, for the first time ever, a coach actually told me to shoot. So I drove to the basket and ended up breaking my leg. Ended my season. But it happened for a reason, and through the rest of that season, I was allowed to help out on the coaching staff and develop a great friendship that still remains today. Senior night that same year, I didn't know this, but my dad had called James to ask for a favor and allow me to just suit up for one last game. And James not only agreed, but took it one step further and put me in the starting lineup. Let me tell you, that was a shock sitting in the locker room for the pregame, not really taking it too seriously because I had a broken leg and didn't think I was going to get to play. And getting nudged by my teammates telling me to look up at the scouting report on the board and seeing my name in the starting lineup in the matchups. And I can't tell you how much that meant to me and my family. Thank you. So finally, I would like to again congratulate my fellow inductees thank the members of the Hall of Fame Committee, not only for this great honor, but also providing me with this opportunity to give a long overdue thank you to all those people who supported me through the years.
Are we done yet, Bobby? Are we done yet? We still got one to go? Oh, yeah. Okay. He's been sitting over here in the corner all quiet, studying his notes. He's probably got about a 45-minute speech waiting for us, I'm sure. Chuck Hansen moved to Taylorville in the summer of 1993 after he retired from 30 years of coaching and teaching in the Chicago area. Little did he know at that time that a visit to Taylorville High School to see the introduction of the then new varsity basketball coach Scott Alberson, that he would invest another 14 years in assisting the development of one of the consistently strong programs in Taylorville history. Alberson was quick to recognize not only the football knowledge that Chuck possessed, but his ability to teach and to gain the respect of the players on the Tornado football team. Taking responsibility for the defensive side of the ball, Chuck instilled an aggressive unit that learned to tackle as a team, to cause fumbles, create opportunities, and upset the offensive flow of the Tornado opponents. With a new high-powered passing offense and Chuck's aggressive style of defense, the Tornado football program quickly became not only competitive in the newly formed Central State 8 Conference, but one of the top teams year in and year out. During his 14-year tenure as assistant football coach and defensive coordinator, the Tornadoes compiled an overall record of 90 wins against 51 losses. They were co-champions of the Central State 8 Conference in 1994 and 1997. The Tornadoes also earned the chance to participate in the IHSA playoffs 10 times, 1994, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 2005, and 2006. Prior to coaching in Taylorville, Chuck taught and coached 3 years at Deerfield High School and 27 years at Glenbrook North High School, where he was on the staff of the 1974 IHSA state champions. Besides coaching football, Chuck also was the head wrestling coach at Glenbrook North for 15 years. In 1978, Chuck was inducted into the Glenbrook North Wrestling Hall of Fame, and in the year 2000, he was selected to enter the IHSA Football Hall of Fame. Another highlight of Chuck's illustrious career was working the head table at both the weightlifting and wrestling events for the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. Chuck Hansen, though now retired from coaching the Tornadoes, spends his falls helping coach future Tornadoes through the kindergarten through 5th grade junior football program. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to welcome, please, Coach Chuck Hansen.
I'm really happy to be here. My wife Judy, my daughter, my oldest daughter, and her husband, Mike and Jane, who are like my brother here in town, and sister since I got here. And one of my former students, Tony Ryba, who has provided and given a scholarship for the last 5 years to a Taylorville athlete. And so I'm really proud to have him here with us. He's a great guy. When we moved to Taylorville, I really thought that I had been retired. I'd had a good career. I was happy, as you mentioned, 1974, Glenbrook North. We won the state championship against all odds, really. We played a team, East St. Louis, who had a kid on it named Kellen Winslow, who became all-pro football player some years afterward. And it was a great experience. And I figured I was done. And then all of a sudden, I don't know how we did, but somehow I met Scott Alberson. And before he knew what he was doing, I was there on the staff, and what should he do? But I'm really thrilled to be here. today with all the friends I've had in this town. It's been fantastic. Like I said, I thought I was done when I came down here. Judy figures I've been coaching 44 years. That's 402 games. Yeah. We had 90 and 51 at Taylorville, 14, so we were not too bad, 90 and 51. Scott Elberson, of course, was the engineer of all that. Judy's been with me for 40 years and seen 369 games. She's missed 3 games in all that time. When I first started coaching, the thing to do on defense, and the most common thing, almost universal thing in football, was a 52 defense. Everybody ran a 5-man line, 2 linebackers, played zone pass defense. And I'm not sure exactly how I evolved into it, who were the people that influenced me, but I would go to 3, 4, 5 clinics every year, and so you're going to hear people from all over the nation. Well, somehow or other, I picked up the idea of a 4-3 defense, 4 line, and you have this guy called we call him a twister, a free man, who's kind of like, he's Robin Hood. He can stand back there in the middle of the formation. He can do whatever he wants, whenever, wherever he wants. He has no specific responsibility. I'm not responsible for that guy or this hole. I just do my thing, man. And that was a great thing. Now, you got to have one good player that can do that, but we could always find one. And so we started playing. We called that guy the Twister. And we had some great ones over a period of time. Boy, I don't know where to start with all this stuff. 1994, we had a big game. Sacred Heart Griffin was ranked, I think, #1 in 4A at the time we played them, weren't they, Scott? And with 1 second left in the game, we kicked a field goal. Mike Finn and Doug Kamati combined together, one holder and kicker, and we won the game 15-13 with 1 second left in it. Certainly left them in shock for a long period of time. 1997, Judy said, I don't remember this one, Scott, but she said we beat Lanfield for the first time ever, 47-30. And 1998, Sacred Heart Griffin, 35-0. The first shutout loss that Griffin had since 1984. And it was the first, and we knocked Griffin out of the playoffs that year because of that game. Southeast game, 2001. Scott can probably remember that defensive battle. We blew a 32-0 third quarter lead. Overtime, a 32-yard field goal, and we won the game 55-52. Scott entered the game 36 years old and left it 40 years old. I think I'd like to just quick mention that a lot of the players that have come through, it's been a fantastic experience for me. Players who went on to coach, Jeff Odom, Lee McKeer, Andy Laswell, Zach McCavitz, Joe Norris, Brady Clerk, Jason Bagadupri, Matt Hart, Casey Reese, Brandon Odom, Justin Fry, Ryan Pren, Matt Bloomquist. J.D. Pickett's going to coach now. I mean, to have those guys go on, it's just a great feeling for an old guy like me. I don't know, I remember all we used to have, every Tuesday nights, the entire football team would have to come over in my basement, and we'd go over and over films of our last game, films of the game coming up, and we would be there in all ridiculous hours and spend a ridiculous amount of time, but it was a good way to really get close to the kids. I'm just thrilled at whatever happened since I came down to this place. I never could have dreamed that my career was going to go that long or this well and have so many great friendships. I just thank everybody that came here tonight for myself and the other people that are being inducted. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Coach. I know you've touched a lot of lives in the years you've been here in Taylorville. And I'd like for the crowd to once again give a big round of applause to the class of 2010 Taylorville High School Sports Boosters Hall of Fame. In closing, I know I can speak for David and the rest of the committee. It's our honor actually to serve on this committee and to see that this goes on every year. It's sure been a pleasure for all of us over these 15 years. I'm sure that there are people in the audience that would like to take some pictures, so I would ask that all the inductees this evening gather up front again before you leave so we can have a group picture. I know Slick will want to record this for posterity, and some other people out here surely want to take some pictures too. So once again, thank you all for being here. This concludes the 15th annual induction ceremony, and hopefully we'll see you all here again next year for the 16th. Thank you all.